Official good morning, everybody.
Good morning,
from
everyone.
My kitchen. I am Lisa, if you don't know me, from the Monday Morning Cooking Club, and I am so excited, firstly, to be here for the Dunera project, but secondly for the Dunera project today, and firstly today, to have the gorgeous Laura Gluckman in the kitchen with me. I feel like we should all clap our hands. Audience, clap your hands. It's just us, but we're all clapping. And I've known Laura probably for, I don't know, 6 years now,
Yes,
7 years.
Easily.
And we were introduced, of course, through cooking. Laura comes from South Africa, born in Rhodesia, then to Johannesburg, and then to gorgeous, glorious Sydney. And Laura is actually a real pastry chef. I am a home cook, and Laura is the real deal. So I feel quite, in awe of you, having you next to me in the kitchen today. And that pastry and cooking and being in the kitchen is what Laura calls her happy place. And she's had tons of experience with restaurants and caterers in Sydney, and she's an amazing, amazing chef. She shared with us some recipes for the Monday Morning Cooking Club books, which we're very proud to have. And one of them is something called Travados. I got to get that right, which are these beautiful sweets for Rosh Hashanah in a syrup. I mean, I think many of the Sephardic things are in syrup.
Yes, it's very Greek/Turkish oriented.
It's beautiful.
Drenched.
So we're very lucky to have Laura in our collection, and very lucky to have you with us today.
Thank you. It's an honor to be here.
And
really
thank you. So we've got quite a lot of cooking to do today. So I would love to get started, and we're going to have lots of chit chat about the Sephardic heritage and all that sort of thing in the cooking. But let's get started with the cake so we can get it in the oven, which will give us time to chat.
Please. Okay. So today we're making a Sephardic cake called shamali. It's basically a sponge cake in the basis, and then we soak it with a honey syrup afterwards. Honey cake, Rosh Hashanah. So we start off with 4 whole eggs and 175 grams of caster sugar. With the whisk, we're going to whisk that up for about 3-4 minutes. Nice, foamy, at least double or triple in size. Go high.
Fully high? Fully high?
Fully high. We want as much air in that.
Can you hear us over this? Give us a little thumbs up if you can hear us while we're talking. Somebody, we'll just be for a few minutes. You'll have to bear with the beater. Hopefully we can move this over. Okay. Oh yes, you can hear. Great. Thank you for that. Okay. So you can keep talking.
Yeah. So my background is Sephardic, Ladino Sephardic, originally Spain. Toledo, Spain is where most of the Sephardics came from. And a lot of the Jews were expelled from Spain, and a lot of them went to the outer islands, to Greece, Turkey, all the Mediterranean, hence the Mediterranean influence in our food. And also the sweets, the Mediterranean influence in the sweets. Very Turkish, very Greek-like. Soaked in syrup, rose water, nuts, lots of nuts. So that's where we're heading with this cake. It has nuts in it. It's got the almond meal. It's not gluten-free, but it is curd. And it has in it a kind of specific taste from the little resin droplets called mastica or mastic. And these little droplets of resin come in tiers. They're called tiers. I don't know if you can really see them.
I'll take one.
Yeah, thanks. It's kind of like a piney, pine cone taste. Some people may not like it, and so you can easily use cinnamon instead of that.
Can you taste it direct from there or not?
You can. You can just pop one in your mouth and give it a taste. Yeah. It's quite a pungent taste. Crush it in your teeth, and then you start to chew it, and it's the basis of chewing gum as well. Bitter, tiny. Bitter, tiny. You guys all like it.
No, not so bad.
Yeah. It's an acquired taste. That's why I say cinnamon is a fantastic alternative. Just half a teaspoon. And you keep chewing. Chewing gum. What's the name mastication to chew is from mastica.
Chewy? Is it sticky? I can't work out the texture of it.
But chewy and sticky, and
it's not as bitter as you describe it to me. It is tiny though, definitely. And it's got this stickiness, this weird sort of catches your teeth.
So what you do is, the recipe just for the really small amount, and I'm going to show you here just on the corner of the bench. All you do is you take one little tear, because it's quite a strong paste when you're baking it, and you crush it. Some people will crush it with a little bit of sugar, some people will crush it with some of the semolina that's going in, but you literally, that's it, and it's crushed. There you go.
Somebody's asked, can you buy it in? Yeah, we'll stop this in a minute, Sandra.
Yeah.
Sorry, it's very
I'm going to
noisy.
put it in with the dry ingredients, which I'll tell you about in a second.
Okay, is this good?
Yeah, that's good. Okay, so
Can I show everybody what this looks like? Okay.
So super duper whip.
Oh, it's beautiful. It's beautiful and thick and really, really foamy.
Yeah.
And extremely pale.
Exactly what we want. So in our dry ingredients, we've got 100 grams of fine semolina flour. We've got 135 grams of plain flour. We've got 120 grams of almond meal and 2 heaped teaspoons of baking powder. And we're literally going to fold that in. But first, we do the oil, 110 grams of oil. If you want, no, we're not actually going to do it by hand. It's much easier. And it keeps.
Are we done with this?
Yes, yes. And it keeps the batter quite airy.
Lucky you're here.
All right. So beautiful. So just with a nice big spoon, because we're folding everything from here on in. So oil in. Actually, can we see? Yes, can we see?
Do you always use a metal spoon for folding?
I do.
Yeah.
I do. It's nothing. Some people use spatulas.
Yeah.
Some people will use this type of a spoon.
Yeah.
I just happen to like a big fat spoon that
So the oil, 110 grams. Being the chef, Laura does everything by weight, which is actually very precise.
I do have measurements, which I will give you later, of cups and teaspoons and tablespoons.
So someone's asked about rice bran oil. It is just an oil you buy in the supermarket or in any store. It's just an unflavored oil.
Yes, it's exactly what you want. You want a flavorless oil. Canola is fine. Okay, so we don't want too much mixing because we don't want to take out too much of the air of the batter.
And is that it? That's the cake.
That is the cake.
Very simple.
Very, very simple. So cake tin.
So you've got what size cake tin is this?
23.
23 centimetre cake tin, which she has
lined
beautifully
and
lined.
oiled.
Lined and then oiled the baking paper.
Yes.
So it's like a double thing.
Yes. So a lot of the original or traditional Sephardic way is to actually put it into a Pyrex dish and cook it and serve it from the Pyrex, which basically saves you one extra into wash, but just for demonstration's sake and for aesthetics.
Yeah, I think aesthetics. I don't know that I'd like to serve a cake in a Pyrex dish.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but it's nice. And
you
see Laura's cakes, how beautiful they look in a spring form.
Okay, so we just squeeze it a little bit. Okay, and that's it, straight into the oven.
Okay, and I'm going to put my timer on.
Please.
Let's have a look at it after 35 and we'll just check it then,
beautiful,
okay?
Beautiful.
And we've got so much more to do now that we can actually now relax a little bit now that that's gone into the oven. That was our crucial thing to get on because we don't want to keep you here all day. I'd be happy to have you here all day, but I think some of you might have other things to do. All right,
exactly.
Do we need this for the next thing?
We're all good with that. Okay, now there is a syrup that goes with the cake, but we're just going to hold off with that for the moment because the syrup will only go on once the cake comes out. So we've got a good 40 minutes. In the meantime, I want to start on showing you how to make marzipan. And it tastes nothing like the store-bought marzipan, which has a lot of almond essence in it, which makes it quite bitter. This is pure ground almonds, sugar, and water.
Yeah, and I have to say from personal experience, I'm going to say I really don't like marzipan. I really don't like it. If someone bought me marzipan, I would have a bite and go, nah, hate it. When Laura gave us her recipe for this current book, we made it and she made it with us. I was completely converted to a marzipan lover. Hers is like nothing you have ever tasted. And so now I love your marzipan. And the recipe isn't in the book. I just want to explain, because we just don't have room for everything.
I know,
it's so sad.
So many beautiful recipes.
So sad, but that's good. It's still her special recipe now.
Exactly. So with the marzipan, we weigh out our water. I'm actually doing half a recipe just to make it go quicker, so that I can show you all the stages and then the finished product. Because marzipan will take a good part of an hour to an hour and a half if you have the time, but we just kind of like go through all the
We've got some steps ahead made, don't worry.
Yes, exactly. So we're going to measure out 375 grams of water, 225 grams of sugar. Sorry.
People are asking for the cake ingredients again and the oven temperature. You are gonna get the full recipe, so don't worry about that through Dunera. But to answer your question, it's 160 on a fan forced oven.
So we've put our 375 water. We're going to put in here 225 of sugar. Now, it's a very strange thing that we do, and I was explaining to Lisa earlier why it's done. We put a teaspoon of egg white into this sugar syrup. Originally, I didn't know why they did it. I just did it because that's how my mother did it. That's how my grandmother did it. And then once I went to patisserie school and everything was about measurements and temperatures and things like that, I thought, well, why? I have to get to the bottom of this. And I asked a few actually lovely Sephardic ladies, why do we do it? I got answers back. It makes the sugar clearer. It shows you the thread stage when you put it in your fingers. But what I actually worked out was when I was taking the temperature of the water. In the old days, they never had thermometers. So all they did was they used the egg white to show them when it was reaching the right temperature. So,
Your little bowl.
yes, thank you. Beautiful, beautiful. So that is one of the reasons why they use egg white, is to get to the right temperature. I just want to teensy a little bit. Thank you. So the recipe calls for a teaspoon of egg white, and this is half a recipe, so that was about half a teaspoon, and we're going to get that onto a high boil. And I'll show you why. We put the egg white in, it's going to froth up. Lisa, I'm not sure how to switch this on, my love. Beautiful.
So that's on high.
It's on high. We want to get it up to a good boil. So while that's on a boil, let's start on the syrup for the cake. Just measuring it out, because we want a hot syrup onto a hot cut cake, so that the sponge absorbs all the beautiful syrup.
I know there's lots of chat about hot syrup on cold cake, cold syrup on hot cake.
Yes.
Do you always follow that rule, or is that just for
Hot
this
on
cake?
hot, just for this cake.
Okay.
Just for this cake. Some cakes, if you put hot onto a hot cake, the cake sinks.
Yeah.
Or hot onto a cold cake is fine. Cold syrup onto a hot cake, I think, should be okay, depending on the cake. You see, it also depends. This is a sponge. It's quite a light sponge, but it's quite a light syrup, so it can absorb it quickly. So it just depends on the cake, I guess.
So hot syrup on hot cake.
Yes.
And someone's just mentioned that the recipe actually is already on the Dunera website.
Oh,
Thank
there you go.
Yeah. There's
There
a
you
click
go.
here and it gives you the recipe. So great.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so now with the sugar syrup, we've got 1.5 tablespoons of honey in there already. And I put a little slither of lemon rind. You can put, if you want, if you're using cinnamon in the cake, you can put a cinnamon stick in here, which is lovely. If you like the taste of cloves or of any lovely fragrant spice, you can pop that in there just for the syrup, not really for the cake, just for the syrup. So we're going to put in here 175 grams of water.
I just love the precision with which you cook.
Okay, and then we're going to put some sugar in. Okay, and then we're going to put in 175 of sugar and half a tablespoon of lemon juice. And then we get that going on the boil. Thank you, my loves. Okay.
Okay, so we've got the cake in the oven. We've got the syrup just on for when the cake comes out of the oven.
Yes.
Because we want hot cake and hot syrup. And the marzipan is starting.
Yes, the marzipan is on. So,
so just to go through again, in there you have got
sugar, water, and just a teaspoon of egg white.
Okay.
So, like I said, in the old days, no thermometers, so the egg white was the gauge of when your syrup was ready. Once all the egg white that you could clear off, the egg white scum that you could clear off was no more.
And you're not stirring, you don't feel like you need to stir it?
Not really, not just yet. I'll let it bubble up a bit. Because if you stir, then you'll encourage the egg white. I'll show you. So if you have a look here, see it starts to encourage the egg white.
So the egg white is starting to foam just a tiny bit in there, which is what we're looking for. So Julia wants to know caster sugar. Is that caster sugar in the?
Yes,
in
always caster
You always
sugar.
use caster
I
sugar.
always use caster sugar. If you don't have access to caster sugar, you can take regular granulated sugar, stick it in your food processor, give it a good whiz, and then you have caster sugar.
I find, I don't know if you've noticed this, but the white sugar, as in not the caster from now that you buy, is finer grained than it used to be.
Yes.
I'm finding that the white sugar is becoming closer to caster sugar in the supermarket. And I don't know why, and I wonder if one day they'll just get rid of one or the other altogether.
Possibly, because white sugar used to be like raw sugar is now.
Like quite coarse, and it's not so much anymore.
Not so much anymore. Okay.
Oh, I see. So the egg whites, I just want to give everybody a little peek. You can see that the egg whites are sort of really forming like a raft on the top.
Yeah. So we are going to...
Amazing. Yeah.
The egg white there. And don't worry about grabbing a little bit of extra water with it. That's absolutely fine. So we'll pop the temperature down just a touch.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So the marzipan was on a high heat, and now I'm turning it down to medium low.
And we just keep going there. With the end stages of a marzipan, I find a big slotted spoon is just too difficult. So a tiny little tea strainer.
What I love about Laura is that she's come to my kitchen this morning. She has brought every single bit of equipment that she could ever foresee needing today. So she's come with a truckload and a trailer. She's so organized. It's unbelievably good.
You're not a pastry chef if you're not organized.
I know. I see that. I see that.
Okay, that's going beautifully. The syrup is almost done as well. You just have to basically heat it up. Can you show?
Yeah.
So the syrup just basically, let me see, sort of ish.
Yeah.
So there we go. Yeah. So we can switch off the syrup now. This is the syrup. Yep.
Okay, just a question that's come through about measuring and cups and things like that. We found that in writing our books, one of the biggest challenges, I think, over the years for us was firstly the American imperial versus metric Australian. And that's one problem that we'll talk about in a sec. But the Australian cups and tablespoon measures are different to the American.
Yes.
And people don't seem to know that, not even manufacturers of Australian cups and tablespoons. So an Australian cup is 250 mils, an American cup is 240 mils. So
liquid.
That's right, liquid. Yeah. If you use tablespoons, an Australian tablespoon is 4 teaspoons, and an American tablespoon is 3 teaspoons. So that's why there's confusion all over the world. And you can go to David Jones in Sydney and buy a tablespoon measure that is only 15 mils, which is 3 teaspoons. Yeah. So we're fighting against this all the time. But Laura skips that problem altogether by weighing everything. So there are no cup measures at all. In all of our books, we have got it right for the 4th book and probably the 3rd as well, where we use Australian metric only, including the 20 mil tablespoon and the 250 mil cup. And that's what we do. But I agree with Laura, wherever you can, a digital scale and weighing everything is the answer to all your measuring problems. Yeah. I got a little message on my phone with that question about measurement. So that's good to answer that. Yeah. So I hope that answers that question about the measurements. Yeah. But the US-Australia difference is quite headachy sometimes when you're converting recipes or writing for an American market.
Yeah, very much so. That's why just grams is fine. Although in America,
exactly, they want ounces. Yeah. And then I started learning about fluid ounces, and ounces, and it's a different number of grams for each, and it's very complicated. I mean, so different, the grams and mils for each are not the same.
And then then their butter, do their butter in sticks.
Yeah.
Which I think is what, about 113
grams. Exactly. I know, it's funny, isn't it? And I mean, I cook in blocks. I think in blocks sometimes. You think in 250 gram blocks.
250 gram blocks, 100%. Yeah. Okay,
so we could all be the same.
Yeah. Temperature's at about 103, which is great. And we are still getting foamy bits coming. So we know we're not quite there yet.
Okay, so Laura is just watching her marzipan, and she's got the sugar and the water and the egg white in the pot. It's boiling away nicely, and she's, what's it called? Skimming. Thank you. Had a blank for a minute. Skimming the top to get the egg white that comes to the surface. When all the egg white is at the surface and gone, it's pretty much going to be there.
But if you wanted a bit more technical, it's thread stage in your sugar syrup, which is about 105, 106 degrees, which is what I'm aiming for here. So I do both. Traditionally, I've done it with the egg white and waited for it to boil out. But professionally,
temperature.
I have to do the temperature.
Because you can't go wrong with the temperature. No. I mean, that's the thing. It is what it is. Wow. Okay. So that's what Laura's doing. Laura's just waiting for that marzipan liquid. Yeah. There's no almond in there yet. It's just the sugar and the water and the egg white.
Yes.
So ideally, could you make it without egg white if you were just doing it for the temperature?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to show people a traditional, traditional way to do it. We're still getting a little bit here, but definitely you could.
But isn't it incredible that the generations before developed the system of putting the egg white in to work out how to cook
temperature,
it? Yeah. It's really fantastic to think about that.
Yeah. And then a lot of those with asbestos fingers were able to pick up a bit of the sugar syrup and do the thread test by lifting the sugar syrup between two fingers and seeing if it made a thread.
And then it's ready.
And then it's ready.
And she's just using a little tiny little strainer. And the thermometer is in there and it's nearly reaching what she wants.
Nearly. Short of burning fingers.
I think making marzipan is a bit of a labour of love.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. It really is. But you can make a fairly large amount. You can use a kilo of almond meal and make quite a substantial amount, and it freezes beautifully. Absolutely beautifully. I've frozen it for 6 months.
Yeah, and it's beautiful. And wait till you see the shapes that she's made. It's just, I was gobsmacked actually when I saw them.
These shapes that I've got, the little molds that I have was passed down to me from my grandmother. So you can't find them these days. So traditionally they just roll them in a long rope and cut them on the diagonal.
Yeah.
And we use little cashew silver balls as decoration.
You'll see the mold in a minute. It's just beautiful. And I wonder what else you could use because they look so lovely.
Yeah. I suppose you could use the wooden molds, the wooden mamul molds. You could use those. But I would be wary of that because it's wood and marzipan's got quite a bit of oil in it. Okay, we are almost here. Yes. All right. Okay. So just do the last bit scum. Oh, wrong one.
All the egg white's pretty much gone now, and it's just adjusted. It's the sugar syrup.
Yeah. So now we're going to switch it off. It says,
that's off. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Do you want the syrup going at the other end?
No. Because we're going to wait.
I just want to show you that we're just going to wait that, and that just to show you we've just left that for the moment. We'll come back to it. That's the syrup for the cake.
Okay. Turn the heat off. Throw in the almond meal.
Got 250 grams of almond meal here.
And a touch of lemon juice. Okay. Now I like to use a wooden spoon only because this flat-edged wooden spoon gets to the corners. So give it a stir. So this is, and it's quite liquidy to start off with, you can see, but as it cooks, so it thickens. Some heat back on here. Okay,
so Sheila just wants me, I'm just going to run through the dry ingredients for the cake again, just while you're stirring that. So I'll go through the whole cake. We've got 4 eggs and 175 grams of caster sugar and 110 grams of oil. That was the wet ingredients. And the dry was 100 grams of fine semolina, 135 grams of plain flour, 120 grams of almond meal, and 2 teaspoons of baking powder. And that's it. It's a very simple cake.
It's a very, very simple cake.
I love that.
Simple sponge cake.
So Sheila, that's the thing. But if you do go to the Dunera thing, there apparently is something that says click here under the event and you can find it.
Yeah. And you can adjust it if you want to make a bigger cake, or if you want to make it in a larger Pyrex. You can 1.5 it, you can double it.
Yeah.
No problem. No problem.
I'm excited I'm going to get to taste it. That's what I'm excited about.
So now we're going to just continually stir the almond meal with a little bit of lemon juice and the sugar syrup. Basically, it will eventually, it's like almost like cooking a roux. It will eventually form a ball and give a nice, what's the word at the bottom? A layer of almost burnt at the bottom to protect the rest of the marzipan dough from burning.
This reminds me of when you make, when our kids were little and we used to make rice cereal with the texture. It's the texture of that at the moment. It's the texture of baby rice cereal at the moment, and it's going to get thicker.
Yes.
And it's a stirring exercise. That's why it's not quite a labour of love, but it is a commitment to stand and stir for 40 minutes.
Literally.
And there's no shortcuts here.
No, there really are no shortcuts here. Sort of a shortcut in that in the old days they didn't have beautiful heavy duty machines that we've got. So once it formed a dough, they would knead it by hand.
Right.
But we have a machine, so the machine will knead it for us and get it to the stage where it's ready to roll out.
I wonder if, and I'm not a Thermomix person, but I
really
imagine that someone out there is a Thermomix person, because heating and stirring, I think, is the Thermomix thing. I think that's what it does very well.
Yes, but the Thermomix is a blade though, isn't it? I don't know.
I don't know anything about it. But I wonder, any Thermomix people out there are thinking, we can do this. I know that like risottos and that sort of thing do well, and soups that are blended do well in the Thermomix, but it's not my thing.
Because you don't want to use a blade in here, but you just want to mix it. I suppose if a Thermomix has like a rubber.
So while you're stirring, can we talk a little bit about your heritage? Is now a good time to talk while you're stirring?
Yes, absolutely.
So the heat's just going down a little bit, probably to simmer. It's starting to bubble, and I can see that Laura's feeling the need to turn it down because it's bubbling too much.
Yes, you don't want to burn it. Okay,
so I'm just fascinated by your heritage, and it's so exotic to me. You know, I've got beautiful Polish heritage, but it feels very, I won't say one-dimensional, but, you know, potatoes and fried onions as far as food goes, and just very much sort of white bread in the sense of, you know, nothing exotic, but lovely and comforting and good. Tell us about your heritage and how it's impacted your food, and from what age?
You know what, I grew up in a huge Sephardic community in Zimbabwe, where I thought what we had every day was what everybody had every day. So it was very, as I said, Turkish, Italian, Greek, very Mediterranean, huge amount of vegetables, eggplants and zucchinis, tomatoes, huge. My grandmother had a farm at the back of her house. My aunt had a farm at the back of her house where they grew all their own fruit and vegetables. So that's how I grew up, with grains and pulses and all these beautiful vegetables, lots of rice. Sephardics love rice. So for me, it was, you know, the normal way of eating. And as I said, when you first tasted an eggplant, it was the same thing when I was introduced to non-Sephardic food, was in my late teens. I mean, I knew obviously not everybody by that stage ate like Sephardics, but I realized that, you know, there was different styles of cooking, but I love my Sephardic way of cooking so much, and I incorporate it with everyday types of regular food, but there's always something Sephardic in every meal that we eat.
And what about spices and herbs? Was that a big part of it?
Yes, lots of herbs. Spices, as I said, cinnamon, nutmeg, cloves.
So all the things you might put in the syrup.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. So anything that grew in the beautiful summer Mediterranean sun was incorporated in your food.
So you'd have parsley and
mint, coriander, basil, everything. Not so much things like tarragon or sage, but more heady
Yeah.
vegetables.
I just have to ask my sister, did we ever have a green herb in the house? I just want to know, ever in the history of the cooking in our household. I don't think so.
Really?
No, I can't think of one.
It's so
Cannot think of one.
It's
So interesting, isn't it? And what was the first thing you remember cooking that from your grandmother, or that was really from your heritage that you?
I think everything. My mom used to work, so she used to drop us off at my grand's house in the morning, and there was always something on the go, whether she was making pasta or whether she was making a salsa or a tomato salsa for the pasta, or if she was making stuffed onions or stuffed zucchinis or stuffed tomatoes. There was always that stuff happening, but obviously I gravitated towards the sweet side. All the cakes, the buns, we make beautiful sweet buns called Roska. Those are the knots.
Yes, like little colours. Are they like little?
Yes. Not as sweet, but those are traditionally Roska. We make a beautiful round one for Rosh Hashanah, and then for breaking of the fast, we traditionally make it savory. You eat it with olive oil or feta cheese. So,
wow.
They're in the Greek comes to the fore.
So just show everybody what's happening
So we're
here.
still getting thicker and thicker. And like I said, this will take a good part of half an hour of mixing. How are we going for time?
Yeah, we're doing okay. We've got, we're just after 11:30.
Okay,
So we've got
all right. So this will need at least another 10 minutes.
So just in answer, my sister says, no, we never saw a green herb in our house. Never. It's unbelievable. So many fried onions, though.
Yes, I can just imagine.
Did you have fried onions as part of that food, or not
sort
really?
of. They were more caramelized style fried onions than they were, same with chopped liver. I don't think I ate chopped liver until in my late teens. No clue. Yeah.
It's interesting, but I do feel like your food is way more exotic than ours.
Yes,
I do think so.
Well, also the Sephardic Ladino tradition comes from quite a few different countries.
It does.
There were a lot of, even though it's technically originally from Spain, but that being a Mediterranean country, there were other influences. Huge amount of Turkish, as I said, Greek, Italian.
Yeah. And the food in those areas is so rich anyway, and exotic and varied.
Beautiful.
And that's why. You're very lucky to have that.
So lucky.
In your heritage.
Yeah.
And how did you become, why did you decide to become a pastry chef? Where did that come from?
Well, I've always had a sweet tooth, when we first arrived in Australia, I worked in admin, and then my cooking kind of roared its beautiful head and said, let's do some cooking. So I started my own catering company, doing all kinds of foods from there. After, I think it's about 8 or 9 years, I decided, okay, I've really had enough of that. Let's try something new. So I took a few months off and decided I wanted to do something sweet. So I thought, well, I have to re-educate myself. I can't just do it all from books or from the internet. So I applied to do a patisserie course. It's actually a 2-year course. And just can I pause there one second? So you can see, I don't know if you can really see, but at the bottom it's starting to form a little bit of a skin. Can you see? Sort of ish. You'll see a little bit later. It's starting to form a little skin now. I'll show you a little later when it actually starts to burn, which is probably when you can see.
So if I had to describe it to you, when you make polenta, that's what it reminds me of now.
Yeah.
It's reminded me of when you make polenta and it starts to pull away.
Yeah. So
it's very hard work. She's getting a good arm workout today. Yes. And I'm just, standing here relaxing. It's a very nice, relaxing morning for me. She's working so hard.
As a pastry chef, you develop very, very fantastic upper body strength.
Oh, so just back onto the green herb discussion. So someone said not even parsley, and my sister says not even parsley. Dill was the only thing we had, but that was only in the pickled cucumbers that we bought. Okay.
Run in the backyard.
And Miriam says, and potatoes. Of course, potatoes. Potatoes went with everything.
No, we had rice. Rice was our staple.
And rice with things in it. Was it like that jeweled exotic?
Yes, yes. Well, not so much. Not so much like with the
pomegranates or that sort of thing.
Yes, with pomegranates, but not with the sultans and stuff like that. Not quite that. Okay, I think see here now.
So there's definitely skin formed on the bottom of the pan, like when you've boiled milk for too long.
Yes. So let's just put that down a little bit because I don't want it too burnt. So now just quickly getting back to this. So we're looking for it to come away from the sides of the pot on its own. And then I'll show you, we will roll it in our hands and it won't be too sticky. But can you see, Lisa, there, at the edge of the pot there?
So the edge is going brown. I can take the pot up to the top just to show them for a second, I think.
But it might slide down. Can you see?
Can you see that? You can see it's gone brown at the edges, Hopefully you saw that. And it's starting to smell. No, maybe that's the cake I can smell. Don't know if it's that or the cake. It's that,
It's this.
Do you have a website or a cookbook is the question?
I don't.
Perhaps it's time.
Perhaps it is time. I have been bugged for years. My husband is my biggest supporter, and he was saying, you need to get a cookbook, you need to get a cookbook going. I say, yes, I do.
Look, it's not much work.
No.
No, seriously, why don't you do a cookbook?
Why don't I, Lisa? Help me.
Okay, I'm happy to help you. But I think you've got so much to offer and so many recipes and stories.
Yes.
And all these things that people would want.
Sephardic books have been done.
Yeah.
There are a beautiful number of Sephardic books that are out there. Am I allowed to plug anyone? Am I allowed to say?
Of course you are. Yes. This is not
Stella,
the ABC. It's all good.
Stella Cohen is a huge advocate of Ladino Sephardic cooking, and she is wonderful. And she's put out a few cookbooks.
I've seen her book, actually.
Yes.
Yeah. Is she from Rhodes? So
no, she's from Zimbabwe.
Why do I think did she?
I think her family are from Rhodes.
Yeah. Because there's a whole Rhodes movement, isn't there? And there's a whole set of recipes from Rhodes, and what's the story with Rhodes and the cooking there?
Rhodes. It's part of the Sephardic cooking club culture, if you like. So we're going to just wet fingers first, because otherwise it's just going to stick. So if you feel that, Lisa, it's super hot, but still a bit sticky. Yes, super hot.
How much did you take?
Just a little bit, so that if you can feel, you can roll it in your fingers. Okay. But still a bit sticky. Can you feel it a bit sticky?
Oh, I see. So it's not ready yet. Okay. Can't roll it, so it's going back in.
Back in it goes. So now the pot is really getting nice and dark at the bottom. So we've got to be quite careful of that.
Really is. It's surprising, and it's a very hard thing to describe to somebody without seeing it. Helen says, is it like choux pastry? I feel like it is a little bit like
it is. Like I said earlier, it's a little bit like a roux, like a choux.
Bella asks, was any essence put into the mix? No, definitely not. And I think that's the difference between Laura's amazing marzipan and bought marzipan, is that there is no essence.
No.
So you think that's ready?
Yeah. So
I want to show you all how dark this pan is.
Oh, I'll grab the spoon. You can tip it right out.
You can see it's really dark.
Yeah, so we've got a little bit burnt at the edge there. Okay, so it's still quite sticky, but once we start mixing it in the machine, it's going to get softer. Now, you've got to put this on, what we traditionally do is we put this on a plate. Lisa, sorry, darling.
You did have 1 second ago, just hold on.
So we're going to put it on a plate and just let it cool down a little bit. Because we don't want to release all the beautiful oils. So you can see what's left at the bottom of the pot.
How are we cleaning that?
We soak that in hot water, and you just leave it, and it will literally lift itself.
I'll tell you what I've started doing, and I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing, is putting a dishwashing tablet into the pan with water and boiling it, and everything comes off.
So you can see it's quite a solid mass here, quite firm. We're going to we're not going to cover it just yet. We're just going to put a cloth over it, because if you put Glad wrap or any sealant on it, just basically releases heat, steam, and more water gets in.
And what does it taste like at this point?
It's almost there, but it's not smooth enough yet. Not smooth enough yet.
No, it's not smooth enough, but it's really yummy.
We wait. We wait.
It's delicious.
Yeah.
Doesn't taste at all like that marzipan taste. That's what's interesting about it.
That buttery taste.
That, yeah.
So once it's dry and cool, now feel that.
Ah, completely different.
Completely different. Now,
So that's that.
That's that, but cools down, which I made earlier today. So now it's almost like a pastry dough.
Yeah.
So now we are going to take this and we are going to put it in the machine.
Oh, your bowl's
Next
over
bowl.
there.
Beautiful.
Avi, the tablet I use is like a finished dishwashing tablet that goes in a dishwashing machine. It's unbelievable for getting stains off, stuck things off saucepans.
Am I right here? No. All right.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you. Okay, on a low and go. No, keep going. We just want to get it off the paddle. No, it's just the dough. Okay, so this is in lieu of massaging with my hand now. I'm just going to smooth it out and give the texture, not so grainy texture.
And how long does this go for?
Just watch it and feel it. I would say a good part of about 4 or 5 minutes at least.
Yeah.
But because we only did half
It might be a bit
recipe,
quicker.
it might be a bit.
Okay.
I just want to go and wash my hands.
Okay. So the answer, I have a few questions here. Do you add rose water to your marzipan? You can if you want to, but she does not. Okay, this is going around and around. And Debbie says you can also add baking soda bicarbonate to the water and boil to remove burnt. Yeah, I agree with that, but there's nothing. Try the dishwashing tablet. It's extraordinary that it all comes off. Makes you think it's quite corrosive though, and it's not good for you, but it works very well. That's true, actually. Good point. And would you use a dough hook instead of the K beater? Someone wants to know. Never tried it, but maybe might be a good idea, Naomi. Actually, Julia.
It is needing. Let's have a feel. No, we can go a little bit more. Okay. Not too much more because you see it's already releasing its oil.
Right, yes, it is.
Can you feel?
Yeah.
So we don't want to go too much further. And it's not as smooth as I'd like it, but it's getting there.
Okay, so that's just going around. Okay, so
all right, so
the cake is we're 1 minute away from 35 minutes. Do you want to have a look and see how you?
Let's carry on with the marzipan because we can move to the next stage.
How long do you want me to put on that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Stop there.
Oh, 1 month.
Okay. Beautiful.
Oh, it's become all squishy.
Yes, that's the natural oil in the marzipan. Okay, so traditionally we use our little marzipan thing, but if you don't have it, it's quite oily actually.
Too oily. Do you want some paper towel?
Please.
So why do you think it's oily today?
Because normally what you do is the process runs from drying out your thing to it being slightly cooled straight into there. But because I had to make this earlier, hence it's a little bit harder to work with, but that's okay. You can always use it. So now, traditionally, you put it in the little molds, or we roll it into a nice long log. Now, this is how you can freeze it. You wrap it in Glad wrap, plastic wrap, and you freeze it like that. But what we will do
and
now,
then would you, okay, so go on.
So then now, we make little diagonals.
Yeah, so Naomi's reading my mind. She said, if I made this, I'd literally taste so much, there would be none at the end.
That's why you have to make at least 500 grams. Okay, so we've got these lovely little diamondy shapes. And then, where did I put my little silver balls? Beautiful, beautiful diamond shapes.
Where are the silver balls? I don't know.
We put them somewhere, didn't we? It disappeared.
Okay, we have to look for the silver balls.
We have to find the silver balls.
My little mold. So,
Yeah, they are. Yeah, they are. My apologies. Okay.
Can I taste this?
Yes, please do. It's not as smooth as what's behind us, but getting there. So
it's very good though.
With a little silver ball, and there you go. And that's how we do it. Now, I have this beautiful mold that my grandmother gave me. It's like a little flower cup. I wouldn't know where in the world you would get something like this.
I'm trying to think if I've got anything that
even vaguely resembles it.
I don't think so. It's quite a unique thing.
Yes, it really is.
I mean, can you roll it with a rolling pin? Like, could you?
You really want a meaty piece to bite into. You could, I suppose, do it that thickness.
I'm just going to have a little play while you do that.
Please do. So, being the pastry chef, I would weigh my balls out to 15 grams a piece. Because
that doesn't work
I've
at all.
worked out for my little container. No,
it's because I can't get it out. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
That was a thought. Okay.
Are we good? Okay.
This is unbelievable, this little thing.
You press this in.
Someone said, could you use chocolate molds? Yes. Except that they're on a tray.
Yeah, but, oh, sorry. That's the
I'm going to keep eating it. It's really yum.
Oh.
Chocolate mold. No? You don't think so?
The only thing with chocolate molds, there's a lot in them, and you try and push the marzipan out because the marzipan's soft, you take the shape away.
I mean, the only other thing I should really think of.
There we go.
Too big.
So it comes out with a little thing, and then we put a little ball on top.
Two teaspoons. So this is a 2 teaspoon measure.
There we go. Beautiful.
Okay, so what did you do? You
No, you've got to put it in less than the actual shape, because you saw it took me like 3 or 4 tries to try and knock it out.
Oh, did I need to do that first?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm paying attention. Okay, so I'm rolling it between your hands. Yes. What does that do? Just makes it smooth.
Makes it smooth.
Okay, well, so I've got a lovely smooth ball.
Yeah. And then you pop it in like that. Sorry. And a little thing. And another.
I'll just keep trying. I'm determined to find something at home that everybody can use.
Maybe try and ease it out with this.
No.
No, I'm sorry.
Oh, yes. Here we are. Look, you know what? I'm going to do this. You just keep going with that, and I'm just going to get this. Because I don't know who's got those. So something like that would be good. And a melon baller. Yes.
But then
a good idea. Well, that's a really good idea. A melon baller. I love it. I don't have a melon baller. So.
But with a melon, melon, because it's metal, it's easier to.
Yeah, melon baller. Great idea. Anne says, Laura, the shape is beautiful. It is. It is. I mean, look at this. Look at that. It is.
It's so pretty.
Beautiful.
It's so pretty.
Does anybody ever have chocolate with marzipan? Is that a thing?
I don't know.
Chocolate and marzipan?
No, there is a tradition when there's weddings. What we have, it's called gizadas. We make royal icing, for want of a better word, and you open up the marzipan, you put it inside, and you close it up. It's a whole process, and then you make a pastry case, and then you put the marzipan in with it's called sharopi, with the white in. Oh, it's a sight to behold, but that's like days worth of work.
Wow, it sounds like it.
It's beautiful.
Now mine looks very, I'm going to say rustic, for want of a better word. That's mine, made with my 2 teaspoon measure. And you know what? It's sort of cute. Don't judge my judge.
No, I won't. It's the first time you've ever
so
made
Sue
it.
says her cake's ready. How's yours? Thank you, Sue.
Well, our oven is slightly different. No, we still got a little bit to go.
Okay.
So it should be like golden on top, absolutely golden. So when you take it out the oven, you're going to cut it so you can.
Yeah.
I'll show you the design that is a traditional for a round, but for a square we go diamond. So you literally do your vertical lines, and then you do horizontal lines into those to create a diamond shape. Will you lift, Lisa? I'll get this out the way. Thank you, Colin.
Now we're going to open the cakes actually while we wait for it to come out of the oven. We might have to go a little bit over the hour, and I hope that's okay for you guys, just to go 10 minutes over so we can see the cake when it comes out.
So the cake comes out literally out of the tin like this. Hot syrup, cut first. So you can do any design you like. This is a very traditional Sephardic design.
It's just beautiful. Can you all see that? It's just absolutely gorgeous.
And then what we use is blanched almonds. Lightly toasted. So they've just got a tiny bit of color on them. A bit of crunch and a bit of color. That's all you need. You don't want to do anything past that, but they must be blanched traditionally. And you decorate.
Tanya said she's got a 25 centimeter and a 20 centimeter spring form. Which would be better?
I think 25. Yeah. It's not a high cake.
Yeah, 25.
You can have a look. It's quite a low cake.
And is the gizzarda what Greek people give out at weddings? Somebody just asked.
It is. So, like I said, it's an amalgamation of Greek, Turkish, Italian, you name it.
So Esther says they've got nothing but time in Melbourne, so they'll all be making marzipan today.
Yes.
Because that'll kill an hour and a half with stirring, and you'll get an arm workout at the same time. It's actually a win-win.
Yeah. So you can see this
marzipan is beautiful. Even in the pillows that you've made, that's also lovely. Do you keep it in the fridge?
Keep it in the fridge, in a sealed container in between layers of wax wrap.
Yep.
Or you can freeze it. Like I said, it freezes.
How long does it keep in the fridge for?
In the fridge will be a few weeks.
Beautiful. And it makes a beautiful gift. Is it a traditional thing for Rosh Hashanah?
Very. Traditional for Rosh Hashanah, for breaking of the fast as well, to break your fast on something sweet. But for Rosh Hashanah as well, even though it's not quite honey based, it's a sweet for a sweet new year. So we'll have massive plates of marzipan.
Have a look how beautiful this looks.
And we haven't decorated those.
This is the thing that all the Melbourne people who have got time on their hands, you can all start making marzipan now and just make it for everybody and all your friends.
Exactly.
Because it'll take up some time. Somebody's asked, what about petikas?
Petikas. Oh yes. Now we did those actually with the Monday Morning Cooking Club. We did petikas, and those are beautiful as well because that's got a honey syrup. There are lots of things that have got honey syrup. The travados that's in the latest Monday Morning Cooking Club book.
Can you tell them about the travados, please, that are in our book? Can you describe it properly to them?
So it's travados are also it's like a semolina biscuit, but also drink. Oh, is that us?
Oh, that's the timer. Yeah.
Let's pop this on. Hot syrup.
Yeah. And can I finish that?
Yes, thank you. And I'll check the cake. I would love to.
These are just gorgeous. Well, I know we're all going to go online and try to find these little molds now.
Okay, cake is ready, my darling.
Okay, great. I'm going to pop that one there, and I'm just going to finish this. These are just, I'm in love with these marzipan things, as you can tell. We need to go online and find molds like this, though, I think. Okay, and so you want them to be metal molds, okay? That's the idea. Not plastic.
So nice, beautiful golden color, slightly pulling away from the edges as any sponge should. Can I pop it up here?
Yeah. But we can't see it, so would you like to put it there?
Can I put it on the surface? Beautiful. Okay, so traditionally that would be the shape.
If I put that there, can you see them?
Yes. No. Little sharp knife is over there. Okay, but you can do any shape you want. If you want to do, like I said, traditionally diamonds if you're in a square, but you can do diamonds here. So and it cuts beautifully. Small sharp knife.
You're cutting it while it's hot.
While it's super hot.
On the rain wants bananas next time.
Oh yes, I've got a fabulous banana recipe.
We should have a good one too in our
third
book. Beautiful. With
So
dates and...
yes.
Do you make mamul?
Walnuts. Very similar.
Yeah.
Very similar.
I love mamul. They've got a great recipe for mamul where you fill a date with walnuts and cinnamon, and then you put the dough around it and bake the biscuit and then roll it in icing sugar. Outstanding.
Okay. We are done.
Oh, there you go. Naomi's already found a tin mold on Etsy. Well done. Can you just buy 150 and send one to each of us?
Okay, so this one we cut into diamonds.
Beautiful.
There
Wow. Wow.
So any shape you want, so long as you can give a piece per person. Okay. So now
I don't know how you did that. I hope I'll remember that.
Line straight,
And
line diagonal. That is it. That is it. Okay, now a
There's a
spoon.
photo.
Can I grab a spoon?
Yes. A big, like
Yes, like a ladle even. Okay. You can take the syrup.
Just do want to take a picture of this cake so I can remember how she cut it. Okay.
There's no right way, just whatever you like. You can cut it into actual squares. You can cut it into slices if you like. And the honey is
beautiful. So would this be your #1 Rosh Hashanah cake?
Yes. This would be the #1 Rosh Hashanah cake. And don't worry about the liquid. It will not seep out the edges. If you're worried like at the bottom, the cake absorbs it like a sponge.
Now, Lorraine from Toronto said, please, to you.
Lorraine, hi!
Please come to Toronto and fill my freezer. Do you know Lorraine?
I do know Lorraine Franklin. She's a fabulous designer. I can't believe you're watching. Hi, Laura.
Okay.
All right.
That's beautiful. So it's all just soaked in?
All the syrup is gone.
And do the nuts go on straight away?
No, we'll let it cool.
Yeah.
And then you'll decorate with nuts. So
okay.
I'll just show for decoration purposes here. So you'll do one piece per square. You can do it in any which way you like.
Are there rules?
No, do whatever. Upside down, right way around. I like uniformity, so for me it's
all in the same direction.
All in the same direction, in the same line.
So here they're all pointing points going inwards. I see. It's lovely.
Yeah. Kind of like I like.
Oh no, Lorraine says it's a different Lorraine, not the
designer.
Oh,
so sorry.
Another Lorraine who wants you, who still wants you to fill her freezer. Don't we all, Lorraine? Don't we all? Okay, so I think we should really taste some cake.
Yes,
I'm sure you'd all like to see us taste them and see what they're like. Yes.
Yes. Yes. I'm sure they
and I'm going to give Laura a piece of my very Ashkenazi, very delicious honey cake, just so we can have a little contrast to compare and see how far apart these worlds are or how close they are. I'm not sure.
And we'll also have a bit of marzipan.
So the marzipan is delicious. I want you all please to go make the marzipan and report back to us through Dunera or through our social media to tell me that you agree that this is the best marzipan you've ever tasted. You'll never buy store-bought marzipan again. It's a different thing.
And because you can freeze it and keep it in your fridge, it's always at home. Any cakes that call for stollen, that call for marzipan paste, this is it.
So Karen has asked, how long before you unmold the cake with the syrup? So the one that's in the tin?
Once it's cool. Once it's cool.
And how long ahead can you make this cake?
This cake will last for about 5 days, if there's any left once you've started eating it. But because it's so heavy in syrup, it keeps.
Does it freeze? Next question.
I've never frozen it, only because it just gets eaten straight away. And it's such a quick and easy cake to make. You don't really need to freeze it. I'm not wild about freezing it, if the truth be told.
Yeah, I would probably agree with that. Some things work well and some things don't. So someone said, oh my God, that plate of marzipan, I agree, looks so amazing, doesn't it? And so the best way to store the cake, just in an airtight container?
Yes, absolutely. Or if you've already got it on your cake stand, good wrap with plastic wrap.
Okay, let's eat. Let's try something.
Yeah.
I just would like to, now, Laura came here. I told you she brought a trailer with her. She also brought 2 completely made cakes. Tell me the difference between the two.
So this cake is using cinnamon. As we discussed, you can use mastica or mastic, but if you don't like that pine needle taste, which is this one, that's the pine needle taste, then use cinnamon, which is this one. And then the one that we've just pulled out of the oven is mastic as well.
Okay.
So
should we try this?
Yeah.
Shall we try a piece and see? I'd like to see inside it. I'll let you do the honours of cutting it. And I want to show you, this is the original Gina's Hair Raising Honey Cake from the Monday Morning Cooking Club's first book that I've made at a loaf size. And you can see how sticky and gorgeous it is.
Amazing.
It's really my favourite traditional honey cake. The recipe's on the Monday Morning Cooking Club website. And I'd like to do a little compare with you. It's completely different. I mean,
yes, it is. But okay, some plates. Shall we get some plates?
Some plates. You just chat to everybody for a minute.
Yeah. So you see the cake done and dusted in 1 hour flat. And then you can just put it on the side and it's ready. You can make it for breaking of the fast. You can make it pre-starting of the fast. It will be absolutely fine.
And oh, that looks absolutely beautiful.
And just feel it though, because it's very moist.
Yeah, and it looks. I want to show everybody close up if I can.
Wait, here, do a diamond shape because it's very traditional.
Why is diamond traditional?
I don't know.
So that's the second thing, because we've got a basbousa recipe.
Oh yes.
And again, you cut it in, which is a semolina cake,
yes.
which you also cut into diamonds.
Diamonds. Oh, I don't know.
Is there a story in that?
I don't know.
So this is the cake, and it really looks.
Oh, turn.
Absolutely.
Beautiful.
Beautiful. So while we're going to taste this cake, and it looks so yum, and taste this is the Ashkenazi versus Sephardic cakes, and we'll see. You know, we often love what we grow up with, right? I think that's part of all of us. 100%. You know, we love what we're used to. We love the cake that says Rosh Hashanah to us.
Yes.
But I'm open to new things, so I'm willing to try this new cake.
Absolutely.
And I'll see. It looks and smells divine, and the texture is. It's really like nothing else because of the semolina and the almond and the flour.
That's it. It's not gritty or grainy, but it's a syrup cake. It's beautiful. And
the hint of honey in the syrup is just perfect for Rosh Hashanah.
Very mild taste of cinnamon. It's hardly there. And the mastica as well. It will hardly be there.
I love it.
I love cake.
How's this one for you?
This is beautiful. And you made this when? And it's still so moist.
2 days.
Wow. But like you said, when you wrap it up and you leave it for a few days. It gets better.
I know. So cakes are a success. Sorry for chewing. Marzipan is a huge hit as well. And the recipes are available through Dunera already, I understand, on the website.
Is the marzipan on the website as well?
I'm not sure if we... Would you like to share the marzipan? Or
yes, oh, absolutely.
All right, if you can send that through, then you'll have the marzipan as well. And we'd love to see your pics of what you make. It gives us great nuffers when you send photos through. I just want to give a shout out for Dunera for the next event coming up, which is on Wednesday this week, which is the 9th at 10 a.m, Caring for Mental Health, which is really important at this time. And I think it's going to be an amazing event. I've also got lots of cooking stuff coming up next week in anticipation of Rosh Hashanah for Monday Morning Cooking Club. We're doing a honey cake cook-along on Tuesday at 11 and a brisket cook-along on Wednesday at 11. You find all the info through Dunera or Monday Morning Cooking Club. And then the week after, we're going to have Michael Rantisi from Keppel Street Kitchen, just sorting out a new date for him. Thank you.
Know what he's making?
Surprise. But something delicious, I'm sure. Laura, thank you from the bottom of my heart for being with me today, and all of us. I think everybody's loved it. And please come back and do another one.
I promise I will.
Okay, what do we do next? We'll do something with espresso martinis. I'm not going to forget that one.
Definitely.
Thank you all for being with us, and have a good rest of the week. It's been wonderful having you here, and we'll see you next time. Thank you all. Bye, everyone. See ya. I'm going to go eat some more cake. Don't know about you.
I haven't stopped.